How you going, Pete? Well, I'm going to do a little cleaning on this. Is one of my favorite guns that I've had for many, many years. When I was stationed in Hawaii, give you a little background to this gun. H&K P9. Ooh, it's clear. I know it's cleared. All right. So H&K P9s 45. Great freaking gun. This was way beyond its time when H&K made this gun. Just a really engineering freaking design of just the future. And for some reason, it never really caught on. So you'll see these little indentations here on the side, and those are actually the rails that come inside here. Make sure I can. So if you lock the gun to the rear, it has this decocker and slide release. So to release the slide, I can press that down to release the slide. The hammer back here, see that little stem pin on it? If I squeeze the trigger, that's your firing pin. If I go double action, it comes back. And then single action, it stays back. And now I'm ready to. Now the worst thing about this is the sloppy trigger. Look how much slack is in this trigger. That is pretty bad. So when you first got this, you started using it, but I mean, it just fits. The way they did the grip and the design, it just fits in your hand so freaking nice. For me, anyway. I love this freaking gun. And this is one of the few guns that I actually use that little ramp in the front to control the upward. Because it fits. Instead of doing this, I actually on this gun kind of do this. Didn't really care for what we used to call the shark fin trigger. Because it's so freaking big up front. It was like a shark fin, so we called it the shark fin right up here, front sight. I said trigger, but it meant the front sight. It's got the white post with the two red dots. Okay, that's going to hit high. That's going to hit low. It's going to hit one way left and right. That's good sight alignment, it looks like, from what I can tell here. The breakdown on this gun is pretty cool. You see this little piece right up in here? That's how you break down this gun. You simply make sure it's fired. You squeeze the trigger so it's not cocked. And you just press up right here. And when you press up, the slide comes off. And that's it. Great breakdown. Remember those little rails on the outside I showed you? Well, on the inside are these little rails right there. And those are actually one up front, two in the back on each side. And they actually run in the rails of the gun. So your rails are steel here. This is all polymer, this group here, but all your main pieces are steel. There's your double action, single action hammer, double action. When it's cocked, your single action. Pretty simple design. That's your release takedown right there. When you press on that, that's how you take the gun down. Once you get it down, to break this down, you just slide the barrel forward and up, and it comes out. It's got a spring and a barrel, and you are pretty much filled strip. The other cool thing about this was the first, it's called the Rollback locker system. And if you look on the left side here, if it's coming out, you're going to see a little thing that kind of sticks out. And you'll see it go away. So right about here, I'm trying to keep it in camera and look at this. If I turn it upside down, you'll see a little piece fall out. Did it fall out? Yeah, right there. There's a little piece that fell out, that little round thing right there. And then when I turn it away, you're going to see it fall in and it goes away. What does that look like? When you actually use the barrel in order to push down, you're going to see a little thing right here. This is a cleaning video, but it's really getting into the dynamics on why this gun was so cool. So this is your rollback locker system. In order to get that out, you take one of the prongs on the barrel and you push down that little metal piece right there. And when I press down on that, it's going to release this and make it to where I can pull it out. So let me do that for you real quick. Pushed it down, and now this slides off because that little release right there allowed it to come off. I really didn't want to drop that, but I did. And then that piece comes out. And what I was pointing out are these two little rollers here on each side. So it's called a late blowback system, and what it does is it takes some of the recoil out, because when you hit it, you'll see this pop out, and it actually slows down the recoil. I really can't show it and demonstrate it. I'm sure there's some video out there that puts it in here. And then that's your internal gun, and I mean that's it for the breakdown. So this has pretty much been my safe queen. You can tell I've kind of polished up the barrel. I've put some flits on it and I've made it nice. This has a really good this was one of the first guns that came out with the poly rifling. Instead of actually cutting grooves in the barrel, it just kind of I'm looking for one of these that I'm going to just shove down the barrel. Some guy on my last video had a cow because I was using a dirty patch. He said I was abusing the gun because I used a dirty patch to clean it. I'm like, dude, you got issues. So I'm not getting, even though the patch was dirty already, you're seeing I'm not getting any dirt. This gun's pretty clean. I haven't shot in a long time. I don't know if you can see down the inside. It'd be nice if I had a little flashlight. I do have a flashlight in here somewhere. Let me see if I can get this to where it will shine up that barrel. You guys see how nice that barrel looks? Man, this was just a really beautiful gun to clean and to work on. I mean, just the craftsmanship. There's not a rough edge on here. I couldn't cut my finger on any piece. I hate when I'm dealing with a gun and I get these sharp edges and I can cut my finger. I couldn't cut my finger on this gun if I tried. If I sawed pieces, I can't cut my finger because everything is rounded and smooth and there's no sharp edges. That's what German engineering used to be about. Very, very well-designed pistol. Same things on this. All these edges, I'm rubbing my hand. I can't do this on any of my 1911s, or maybe a couple of them I can. Some of the Dan Westons are kind of finished. But you rub your hand around like this aggressive on a gun, and you're going to cut your finger, and you're going to have scrapes and scratches. Everything on here is pretty much smoothed out and polished to where there's no sharp edges. There's nothing that I have to polish and fall down. Now, this gun has a lot of rounds to it. The story of this gun is me and my buddy were on a SWAT team. Same guy that we got arrested, if you heard for drinking a beer on the beach. We opened a beer right before I was going to the SWAT training in the Air Force. Same guy that gave me this gun. And he didn't give it to me. I'm leaving and I had an old Pontiac Sunbird, piece of crap, standard 4-speed Sunbird, 4-cylinder. And we drove the shit out of that car. And when I was leaving, I was like, man, it's been on the island. It was in Hawaii. This is in 1985 when I was leaving Hawaii. And he was still there, and I was like, dude, man, I need to sell this freaking car. I don't know what I can get with it. I don't want to get ripped off. Fine, it's a good little car. But he goes, dude, I'll trade you this gun for the car. And I love this freaking gun. I was like, dude, this is like my favorite all time. I just couldn't afford it. It was a nice gun. And it would probably only cost him, I don't know, maybe $400 or $500 back then. But that's a lot of money. And he was lower ranking than me. He was a little 2-striper. I was a 4-striper, 5-striper. I just made tech sergeant. So I was like, holy shit. So I really love this gun. He's actually an H&K dealer. He was last time I talked to him. Scotty Bennett. He's the one that gave me this. Anyway, he was like, man, I'll trade you the gun for the car. You want to give me your car? He goes, I'll give you the gun. He goes, you like that gun? You're always loving it. I go, no shit. And he gave me that gun, man. I love this. That was the best trade I ever did. Who thinks he still has a nice Pontiac Sunbird from 1985 that was on a rust bucket in Hawaii? Who thinks he still has that car that's worth something? And who has a nice freaking fine piece of machinery all these years later? Who made out on that trade? Well, if I got to answer that, then it ain't worth answering. You probably on the wrong channel. All right. So what I want to do with this gun is I was going to give it a good rub down with this Renaissance wax, because it's been sitting in the. I mean, it looks clean, and I keep it clean, and you know, I would probably refer to this as a safe queen, because I just really like this gun. For a while, I could have got rid of it for like $1,200. I think I just found one. I just checked before I came up here on Gunbroker, and I think they have one for $790 is the starting bid. They have one, I think, starting bid was $1,200 or something, or $1,100. So there's only two of them. They stopped making them. Really, really great design and great gun. Can anybody tell that I really like this gun? I freaking love this gun. Alright. So, I'm going to go ahead and give this a wipe down, and then, oh my god, he's using a dirty rag. Whatever. I'm going to give this a wipe down. Oh, another thing that I'm not a real big fan of, European release magazines, to where you have to push on the bottom. If you train for it, it becomes kind of one of those things to where you can rip your mag out, and that's one of the things that people used to say was a good design, because you couldn't accidentally hit the mag release. This is a very deliberate push and rip. And because of that, push and rip. Because of that, a lot of people, and it's commonly referred to as a European release. But, you know what? Oh shit, that's Bobby B. Yo, Holmes!
What is going on?
Yo, brother, not too much. Hang on, let me pause this video. I was just cleaning one of my guns on a video. Hang on.
Okay.
Alright, well, shit. While I was talking to Bob on the phone, I was freaking cleaning this, so you guys missed it. So I'm just going to go over what I did real quick so you guys know. So basically, I just take this Renaissance wax, rub a little on my finger, and I rub it on all the metal parts like so. It puts that kind of shade on it, and then it'll start drying. I don't let it dry completely, because when that shit dries completely, it's hard to get off. So I usually like to wipe it pretty quick after I put it on while it's still a little moist, and it helps clean it and get rid of it, but it still makes that very, very soft protected wax layer. Remember, they use this on antique restorations to preserve things in museums. So it's got a pretty good history, and I did a video on it. So I did my mag, I did the barrel. I don't know if it looks more shiny afterwards. I thought it did when I wiped it off. I thought it looked a little bit more and again, I just kind of rubbed it all over, made sure I got every piece, and then wiped it off. And it just molecular level bonds to the metal and stops and blocks oxygen. And it leaves a nice thin, it's very smooth. So should I oil this up afterwards? I don't know. I usually do put a little drop of oil on it. I did the slide, I did all the metal pieces. All the inside. Again, on the finger, rub it, and wipe it off. I took a spring, put some on my hands, rubbed it all around a spring, and then cleaned the spring up. So it actually made this plastic look really nice. It put like a nice shine to the plastic. So I don't know if you can go back and see what it was before, but it did a nice job on the plastic. So that is it. So I'm going to probably put a couple drops of Go Juice in a couple places. like along these rails here. Maybe on the internal spot here. Maybe behind where it pulls the trigger here. Any moving parts that I kind of see. Somebody asked where I got these. I ordered these on Amazon with a little metal thing so I can get in here. So this looks like a little metal on metal rubbing there. Oh, I forgot, this is a cocker also. So it's a decocker, it's a slide release, and you can literally cock your hammer with your thumb. Just a really neat gun. You can also decock it. So it's man, what a great little gun. So this little metal thing is kind of getting a little oil in here where I can, I really couldn't get with the wax. Alrighty. I'll put a couple drops on the screws. Screws really usually rust. You can tell these screws don't rust because they're probably made well by H&K, but usually your screws will rust. Okay, so there's my release. This is where the spring goes. Again, there's not a lot. I can't tell where the gun is wearing and where there's metal rubbing on metal because it's really cleaned well. So I'm just going to run down the crevices and cracks. And where I think there's going to be contact, and we'll call it a day. So I'm going to put this back together. Again, H&K made in Germany really makes these kind of idiot proof. You notice this, the one in the spring slides in, but if you put it in backwards, it doesn't. So there's only one way. To me, that's smart engineering. That's making something idiot proof. A lot of springs you can put it in either way. Doesn't matter. But this one will only go in one way. And some springs are like that. And it goes in. Which means this is a little bit bigger. Which is why you don't want to put the smaller part in here. Because this is where it goes back together. And if you put the wrong one in, it could slip through or cause malfunction. So once you get this here, you just basically push it in. And it'll drop right down into the... Oh shit. Screwing around trying to get it in camera. That's the problem with filming. And then you'll have all the idiots coming here. He doesn't even know how to put... Because they don't make videos. They just run around and crack on other people that freaking try to put something out. So they have to come and act like they're smart and they know everything. It's easy to put it back together when I ain't freaking looking. It goes in, it drops in. But when I'm trying to keep it in camera to show you, that's when accidents happen. Alright, so you slide it in, and then you should just push forward. The barrel will kind of feed on in there, comes out. You drop it in right there, and you let it go. And that's how it goes back in. And then that's pretty much put the slide on from there, and you're good to go. Man, smooth as glass. Wow. Very, very smooth. Love this gun. So it's got a good coat of Renaissance wax. Oh shit! Anytime you put a gun together and you forget and you have extra pieces because you're making videos and you're not paying attention, we call that a clue, and you should probably go back and figure out where that goes. So I forgot to, which isn't a big deal. You gotta squeeze the trigger, take it apart. Comes off. I gotta pull this back out because that piece goes over right there. So I have to pull this back out. And this little piece only slides in one way. It's got 45 on top. So that's going to be on the top part of this. So you know it goes in like that. You know the firing pin comes out here to punch the bullet. So you know it goes like that. It's got this little flat spot right here, which goes over this flat piece right here. So because it only goes one way, you put it on there. And again, remember to take it off, we had to push down that little lever right there. So I'm going to take this, push down that little lever. And you push it down and it should click right on. And now that's on there. And now put your spring back in. And now put it together. And you shouldn't have any. I didn't do a function check with that out. I wonder if that would have worked with no function check. Alright, so your function check, always, you squeeze the trigger. It works. When you squeeze it, you hold the trigger back. By holding this back, you don't let it reset. You let the gun action. Now when I let go, I should hear it click for the trigger reset. And then fire. That clicks pretty light. Did y'all hear that? Alrighty. So that is the H&K P9s. Great gun. I love this gun. Traded it for a car. The car is a piece of crap. Dead, rust bucket, trashed, whatever. And this gun is still a fine working piece of machinery that I freaking love. Alrighty, H&K P9s. Putting a little coat of Renaissance wax on it. Give it a good protection. It's going to go back into its little case here. And then back into its secret hiding spot. Alrighty. We will, oh, you know what? I'll just add this in because I had already done this. So I had this, I thought this was my Python, but it wasn't. So while I was talking to my buddy on the phone, I pulled this one out too and rubbed it down with Renaissance wax and then wiped it. And it, of course it makes the bluing look better. It puts a nice protective coating on it. And I've done this to most of my guns. I don't know if I did this one before, but I went ahead and put a coat of this Renaissance wax on it and wiped it off. And it looks, yes, it's loaded. See the bullets? It's loaded. So you don't pull the trigger, okay? I know that's a hard concept for some of you little safety sallies. So put a little bit on your finger, rub it on there. I don't know if you can see it. And then you polish it off. And again, if you let this dry like for a minute or two, man, it ain't rubbing off easy. And you got to use a microfiber cloth. If you use terry cloth or t-shirt, doesn't do near as good as a microfiber because it gets down there and cleans it up. Okay? Puts finger over gun. Somebody will put a comment. He put his finger over the gun. Oh my God! You freaking crybabies. All right. So this is that's a nice little Dan Wesson. I'm thinking it's a 6-inch. I thought it was my Python, my Colt Python, and I was going to do it, but whatever. It's the Dan Wesson. Alright, so instead of cleaning that one, you guys got ripped off. You didn't get to watch me clean that one because I did it while I was on the phone bullshitting with Bob. So, hope you enjoyed it. Remember, when you take your gloves off to prevent cross-contamination, You pull inside and out, and then you take the glove in the other hand and you ball it up. Same way I would do with evidence. If I found a piece of evidence, I would put it in my hand. Then I take this on the inside, non-contaminated, push forward, and as a cop, we used to just shoot them. When we take our gloves off like that, when we took the second one off, it would just be, and we'd throw them somewhere and get rid of them. But anyway, that's how you take your gloves off so you don't get all the contamination on the inside. If you're going to store it inside the house or you got something stinky, you grab your glove and you freaking grab a little knot in it, and that will stop the smell from getting out. These gloves are pretty thick. They're hard to tie. My other ones kind of stretch. Put a little knot in it and that'll keep all the smell and nasty stuff inside. Alright, little glove, free glove tip with your gun cleaning video. Alright, well in that there, y'all have a good one.